29th of October, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Get down on the base, it is, right? Let's see. That's where are we holding over here? Oh yeah, we got to the end of this story with the, that's where we got up to, yeah. Okay, so remember the whole story based upon we got a din in the Mishnah that says that Jew number one, he says I see that you got my stuff. And Jew number two responds, your stuff? I bought it from Plony. And the Mishnah says that Jew number one has the koach to force Jew number two to sell back those items to Jew number one. And he makes a shvua how much he paid for them, and then Jew number one gives him that amount, and then he's got to give them to Jew number one. And the Gemara wants to know why is he got to do that? And the Gemara says, oh, because we've got we're talking about there was a code that said that there was a burglary. The Gemara went into a whole series of questioning. How do we know that there was really a burglary? It's just a call? It's not real evidence. It's not real witnesses. It's not real testimony. And the Gemara comes out at the end of the day that it was very compelling. It was a very compelling call, and what the people were saying was that this person, Jew number two, is in possession of the things that were taken from the house of Jew number one. Okay. So now we're on the very bottom of Kuf Yud Dalet base. And we're up to the point where it says, "Umi Amar Rav Hachi." Who Rav is and what did he say? Such as the Gemara is asking about whether Rav said that at all. So what was it that Rav said? Rav said that the Mishnah is talking about this special case where he came under, where the rumor was concerning the fact that the guy was above the Lacteris. The burglar was above the Lacteris. He tunneled a hole from inside the house of Jew number one to outside. So the Gemara is questioning that. Did Rav in fact say that?
Well, we didn't read this piece at all. You're looking at it, but we didn't read this Machteres piece. We stopped before that.
Yeah?
Yep.
B4?
5.
Okay,
B5.
so
5?
B5 already.
So you want to go from where Rav starts speaking?
Yeah, because the other question we were fighting about, the other question we just finished up, that other question, there wasn't the Rashi on the question of what all of a sudden we're adding two things, because was it books and not books and other things and clothing, all kinds of stuff. Old books, new books, his books, somebody else's books. We're up to the other part. We're up to that other part about Rav answering. That because what he heard, what did he hear? That was the question before.
Did you do the
Oh, okay.
You did the
Okay, so let's.
Sorry? Did you do the Mishnah?
It's a whole long Megillah over here. You want to start from the beginning?
What? You could do Rav because there was no answer on that other thing. There's just different people saying different things about what he heard and what he didn't hear. We did that part.
Okay. I mean, let's try to go over this again. Take a look at from the beginning of the Gemora. You see where the beginning of the Gemora starts? The beginning of the Gemora is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines from the bottom of the page. On Kufya Dalam 114b. Page, whatever page it is in the art scroll.
The Gemara starts from B4. 114b4 is the Mishnah in the Gemara. And it continues on to B4.
So the truth of the matter is that so this is what it says from the beginning of the Gemara. The Gemara asks, "V'ki yotzalo shem geneva be'ir my habe." Who cares? What's the halakhic significance that there was a rumor that there was a geneva in the town? What is that? Why does that give this Jew number one the right to force the sale of these items that Jew number two has in his possession? Leifush Dilma Zabninu. We should rather be concerned with the possibility that this Jew number one, it wasn't anything that was stolen from him. He sold all of these. He sold all of his items. Sold them. And he's the one who started the rumor altogether that there was something, there was a burglary in the house. So then Yehuda Amar Rav says, we're talking about a case where we know that there was guests in the house of Jew number one, Ahmad Behivkin, and Jew number one cried out the big cry, Balayla, in the middle of the night, Ba'amar, Nigdamu Kilai, my things got stolen. And the Gemara says, yeah, Kol Shekain, Ilamasa. He's just making a whole porn spiel over here. The whole thing, yeah, it's true that all that happened, but he's the one that arranged. He was the producer and the director and the whole force behind the whole porn spiel. We don't believe it at all. On that, Rav Kahana Messiah Bishmei Rav. So then the Gemara says, in the name of Rav, Shehaisa Makteris, Tura, Matov Beso. No, there was a hole that was dug from inside the house of Jew number one. Ubnei Adam, Shalom Matov Beso, people that were sleeping in the house. Yotsu, they came up out of this hole, and Anbukan Rodos Shel Kalim Shel Akasveim, and they had these big sacks on their shoulders that were filled with all sorts of items. And everybody was saying, all of the things of Ploni have been stolen. So there we see about the Rav said this story about that there was that they tunneled under the house. And then the Gemara gets into all these this question of, well, maybe the things that were stolen were not the things that were in the possession of Jew number 2. And then the Gemara just concludes all that and says that Amar Rav said, Kigon to Amre, in addition to people saying all the Kalim of Ploni were stolen, he's saying that Halalu Caleb shall Ploni, Halalu Svar shall Ploni. These were the things of Ploni. These were the Svar of Ploni. And at that point, the Gemara says that we have enough to go on to say that what Jew number 2 has in his possession were those things that we heard about in the call. They correspond. On that, the Gemara asks the question: Umi Omar Rav Haki? Did Rav say that? So let's go from there. Did Rav say that? Now this is 3 lines from the bottom of the page. Umi Omar Rav Haki. Right in the middle of the page. And we go to Roy. Would you like to start?
3 lines, 1, 2, 3. Divrei Hochi. Right. No, Rav. Where's the Rav Hachi? No. Divrei Hochi. I can see it on the on the page, but I can't see it on the translation.
What are you saying?
I can see it on the page, the Gemora, where it is, but I can't see it on the English side.
You're doing Umi Omar Rav Haki. We're up to.
Where is it?
That's on 114b5. We turned the page to that.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's on page 5. Where is it? On page 5. Where is it?
Left side, left side, where the bottom of the left side.
All right. Well, I'll go from here. Maybe it's this. Umi Omar Rav Hachi. V'ha'amar Rav. Is that it? No, didn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't see Divrei there. Right. But Rav himself has said elsewhere, Baba Machate Teres V'natal Kalim V'yotza Poto. If someone entered a house through a tunnel, and he took utensils and left, he is exempt from having to return the stolen goods. My Torah, what's the reason? Bitmei Kanu, he acquired them with his blood. That is, since he was exposed to the risk of being killed during the burglary, he is exempt from any monetary obligation. So that's a how come situation. So the Gemara answers, Ani Hane Malay Dikanana who Bava Torres. This is the law, namely that he acquires utensils, applies only where he entered the house through a tunnel. Gemora Masa Nafshi Liktolo, in which case he subjected himself to death from the start of his entry to the house. Aval Hane Kivan Delo Masaru Nafshayahu Liktala. But these people who were staying the night in his house, since they did not enter the house through a tunnel and thereby subject themselves to death, lo, they do not acquire the stolen goods.
Okay, so the Gemara asked the question. In our Mishnah, we see that let's forget the Mishnah for a second. Let's just try to understand what the Gemara's question is. The Gemara says it can't be that Rav said that. It cannot be that Rav said what? That these people were tunneling under to get out of the house, because Rav himself said that he said himself said in the Gemara in Sanhedrin that somebody who's above a Machteris, anything that he steals in his tunneling into the house and escaping with the Kalim, he's exempt on that. He doesn't have to return them because he was there's a halacha that if a person comes to tunneling under into the house, the Balabayas has the right to make a preemptive strike against him and even kill him. And if you'll ask, well, why does he have the right to do that? He has the right to do that because the Gemara over there says that, well, the guy that's coming in the middle of the night like this, he has in his plan that if he's confronted by the bias in the house, that he's prepared to kill him. And so, in other words, he is a potential murderer, the one who is coming in under such circumstances. And so, therefore, the Gemara concludes that the bias, the owner of the house, he could make a preemptive strike to this person because this person is really, in a certain sense, like a rodeo out to kill him. And so, because of all of that, this person who's tunneling under, he's got a death sentence on his head. So therefore, since at the time that he took these items that he would be required to give back, he was chayav bisa. Presumably, the Gemara is making use of the principle accumulated the Rabbim. Since he was subject to the penalty of being killed. So then he doesn't have to give back. He doesn't have to get. He bought the things. He doesn't have to. He's not responsible on the things that he stole. Okay, more or less that's the Gemara over there. And so therefore, why is that a question on our Gemara? Why is that a question on our Gemara? Here we're not accusing Jew number 2 of being the one that tunneled under. We're thinking about him that he must have bought these items from the thief, so he bought them from the thief. But in that case, since the thief did not have to return the items to Jew number one, because he bought them with his blood, says the Gemara over here. So therefore, the one that bought the items from this thief also doesn't have to give them back because the thief didn't have to give it back. So he's now going to sell it to a third party. So that third party is Jew number two over here. And therefore, he's not required, he should not be required to sell back these items to Jew number one. That's the Gemara's question.
Goes against the grain.
What?
Goes against the grain.
Why?
Just because he put his life on the line, I don't see why that gives him license to keep what he steals. I could go in and steal precious jewels, money, and all that stuff, set myself up really well at my neighbour's expense, going through the tunnel.
Oh, so you don't like the din that the Torah is telling you? Okay, fine, I understand. Okay.
You wouldn't like it if it happened to you.
Everything that happens is there's a reason that it happens. Can't argue with Hashem. That's the moon and bitachon. But that's the din. That's the din over here. So that's what the Gemara is saying. B'demei kananu. Not everything we understand, and okay, that's the din. But that is the din. But in other words, I hear the question. It doesn't sound fair. Doesn't sound fair. Doesn't sound fair. But we do. But we do know that there is a din of Kidlei B'derab Mine. And the person who is subject to two penalties, he gets the heavier one, and the lighter one he's exempt from. And that's similar to this din. What's happening over here? That's the din Torah. So the Gemara asks the question: why should Jew number two have to sell back the items to Jew number one? The Gemara even questions how could Rabbah have said this, because it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent with what he said in the other Gemara in Sanhedrin. On that, the Gemara answers, "Hani mili the kananu." The Gemara is saying that you cannot compare the din that Rab said in Sanhedrin to the case that we have over here in Bava Kama. What's the difference? The difference is that person in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, he initially tunneled under. So from the word go that he was tunneling under, he was subject to being the victim of a preemptive strike from the householder, from the Baal Bais inside. And that's when that din applies. That what he takes while he is under that preemptive strike, that he doesn't have to give that back. But over here, in regard to these individuals, according to the code that we're saying, is they were invited into the house as guests. These people, so they didn't tunnel under in order to enter the house. They were invited through the front door, and so therefore, it's true that they, in order to get out, for some reason, it's kind of a strange case. I mean, if you're already inside the house, why don't you just unlock the door and walk out the door? Why do you got to go to the trouble of tunneling under like this? I don't know, but that's what happened. That's the case that we're talking about. They got into the house because they were guests. They were admitted with permission, total permission, haknas orchim. But since they only tunneled out of the house, so this rule that Rab says, the Gemora in Sanhedrin, doesn't apply to them. The Gemora says that they didn't fully subject themselves to a preemptive strike from the moment that they entered into the house, and so like that, they do not have the dispensation that the Gemora over there gives to the one that tunneled into the house. So they do have to. So these guys ganavim will have to give back what they stole. Oh, so this din you like, Roy, right? That's a good din. They got to give it back here.
Okay.
And so therefore, that's now explaining why it is that these that Jew number 2 has got to give back the item to Jew number 1, because he bought them from a thief. He bought them from a thief who was responsible to give those items back to Jew number 1. And now, and we don't have any Rashi on that.
You do have one Rashi. The last Rashi on the page.
Oh, yes, you're right. Oh, right. Very good. Okay. Would you like to read it, Phil?
With his blood, he acquires it. The Hava b'mechteret, because he came through a tunnel, bar mitahu, he would be considered somebody deserving of death. You can see it because it's written, if he's found in a tunnel, the ganav is found in a tunnel, the gomer, and so on. The kavan, the havi be'adei, because if it was caught into his hands, he'd be potter. He would be potter. Ki machron lacher, la'acher, because he would have sold it to somebody else. Amai madhader lo lokech. Why did it return? Why would it return to him, the purchaser?
Mahadu lahu lokech, right? Why should the lokech is the one who is being required in our Mishnah to be mahader lahu to the Jew number 1 the items that he bought from the thief. So in the question, the Gemora is asking him, why should he have to do that? Because the thief was above Makteris. He's whatever he has in his hand, he's exempt on having to give back. Okay, that was the Gemora's question. The Gemora answered that no, these people were not. They didn't tunnel into the house, so they don't have a din of above Makteris. So they would have to give back what they stole. Okay. Wow, fine guests. Speaking of ungrateful guests, right? You ever have a guest like that? You invite him into your house, you'll have him stay over the night, and he makes off with your valuable items. Okay. Hopefully it never happened. It was just the case of the Mishnah. Okay, now we go to Omar Rava. Omar Rava, Alan, you seen the place? Want to read for us?
It's a very, very last paragraph on page 114, B5. It starts off with the English. The Gemora has explained our Mishnah as referring. Have you got 114 B5?
Alan, if you're reading the Gemara, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Can see you moving, your lips moving, but can't hear you.
Oh, wow.
No, can't hear you, Alan, still. Is your microphone plugged in? And turned on? Turns on, I don't know. Have you got the light on the camera?
Well, his camera is working.
Oh, no, that's not him. Yeah, the camera's but the
It looks like his microphone's not working.
yeah. No, can't hear him. Alan, we can't hear you. Tap your microphone.
Oh, interesting.
Did you tap your microphone? No.
Just an interesting point over here that I have in my note over here. According to one of the Rishonim, the Rashba, here in our Gemara, we're talking about Rav again with the guy at the tunnel under, that he doesn't have to give back the thing that he stole. So the Rashba points out that that is the view of Rav. That is, in fact, the view of Rav, because we're talking about the items that he stole are around. They're around, and he sold them to Jew number 2, who the Mishnah says is going to have to sell them back to Jew number 1. But for the record, the Rashba says, if you take a look at the Gemora in Sanhedrin, you'll see that the halacha is not like Rav, but the halacha is that if the item is still in existence, then the Ganav would have to give it back because it doesn't belong to him. He made no. He didn't. Only Rav holds that he acquired it with his blood, but the halacha is not like that. Points out the Rashba. If he didn't make any kinyan, and therefore if it's still in existence, he's got to give it back. Okay. Okay, so maybe what should we do? Alan, you there?
Alan's talking, but we're not hearing him.
Okay.
We should go on.
Okay, so we have a couple minutes left. Should we go to let's read Amar Rabba? Lou, you want to read? You have the place?
Amar Rava, Rava said, Lo shanu ella bal habayis ha'asu lima kor kelav. They only taught. They only taught regarding a householder who sold his utensils, or he wanted to sell his utensils. Aval bal habayis she'eno asui limkor kelav, but a householder who does not want to sell his utensils lo tzarich la'a dorei alei kulei hai. It is not necessary to go into such detail.
Right.
The footnote says instead it suffices for them to comment that thieves were seen taking out bundles of utensils and books.
Right. In other words, the whole thing that we had over here was because the Gemora said maybe in the absence of actual testimony, and we just have a call, maybe we should have to be concerned for the fact that the Jew number one, he sold these items, he sold these kalim to somebody else, and as a result of that, he now he's unhappy with the fact that he sold them, and now he's making up this whole rumor that there was a thievery in his house and all of that. But so Rebbe is saying, and that's what got us into the whole thing of what we got into. But somebody says Rebbe, who he's not somebody who's he's not somebody that sells his kalim like that. He didn't have any particular need to sell any kalim or anything. So then we wouldn't have required such a cross-examination to verify the validity of the call. And okay, so we got a Rashi on that, but we won't go into it right now.
Okay.
It says that he's a suey, does that mean that he's known to be the one who sells things frequently?
That's what the word would connotate. Yeah. We know that he sells his kalim.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, that's the way the Shita Mekubetz explains it. If we're talking about somebody we never heard such a thing, that he sold his kalim like that, so then this whole thing would not be so. We wouldn't challenge it so much.
right,
Okay, take care, be well.
all right,
Everybody have a great day, a great week.
thank you, Rabbi.
Slacha.
Have a good day, everybody.
Okay, bye. Bye. See you all.
Alan, I'll see you
Bye,
at
Alan.
5:04.